All right, I guess we're clocked in. Hey, what's going on, party people? Hope everybody's doing well out there. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a great pleasure to have you guys here. I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer, and essentially, as a spiritual healer, what I do pretty much, I help people to attain their highest level of consciousness. And in this channel, to give is to receive, I use the power of words to actually help you to attain your highest level of consciousness. Now, when I'm talking about the power of words, what I mean is, when we're talking about quotes, and the powerful thing about quotes or old saying, proverbs, or those type of statements, what they do pretty much is that they are so much like they are so um, powerful to a point where if you read or listen to certain quotes, you can be inspired by it, or to a level where you can be motivated by it, or you can also be enlightened by it. But nevertheless, it gets to pretty much act out on you in different ways depending on what the message is. But also, what you also get to realize about those quotes is that, especially the way that they are being said, the way the message is being displayed, right? It's like they demand your fucking attention. Somehow it bypass your conscious mind and makes you a lot receptive to the other, let's just say, gems or hidden knowledge that is packed into those type of statements. So to me, that's what I call the power of words. And when you look at the structure of all of those, let's just say either poetry, lyricism, or I mean, they are all structured differently. I mean, of course, I mean that's how we could make the differences in them. But the main thing that you see though, it's how these things are being said. And when it comes to the power of words, it really comes down to how those words are being put together. That's where the magic is. And to me, that's what really make these things very powerful because it's being said a certain way that not only demand your fucking attention, but that also got you open to where, if the same thing that was being said in those statements was said to you regularly, it just wouldn't make sense to you, or it just okay, it would be just okay, you heard it, it's nothing new. Whereas when you dealing with the power of words, it's the way these things are being put together, and that's to me, and that's what I call the power of words. And of course, a lot of people always say words are powerful. I'm not taking any of that away, but the best way that I realize that it works, and a lot of speakers would also know that too. If you're a speaker, it's all about the way you say things, not necessarily what saying that truly make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like even the way I speak to you, like the same message that I'm giving you, I'm pretty sure other motherfuckers or have been, in fact, have been saying it, or may even say it better, right? But what's gonna make me me is how I say it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it really comes down. So for me, when I'm talking about the power of words, and those are, the perfect example of what power of words are. And when I'm referring to the power of words in this channel here, to give is to receive, that's exactly what I'm referring to. Now, in addition to that, the benefit about, even, exploring or even talking about the power of words is that not only is captivated, I mean, it makes you more receptive. Now you willing to delve into more information that is being displayed into those statements, but you also get to experience or to get to retain certain lessons out of it that you didn't have to experience, if that makes any sense, right? So it creates the spark in you. You know what I'm saying? That spark, and that's everything. That's the awakening. right? And those power, I mean, and those statements, they have the ability of doing that. So that's why I always tell people it's not what you say, but it's how you saying it. So to me, when we're talking about the power of words, that's exactly what I mean by it. So in this channel, to give is to receive. So we use a lot of those quotes and we expand on them. And of course, the ultimate goal is to help you to attain your highest level of consciousness. So that's what I do pretty much as a spiritual healer in this channel. Now, I also have another channel if you so happen to, to be interested and like to know other stuff that I got going on, that goes by Lespri, and on that channel, that's when all hell break loose, so to speak, in terms of I'm smoking my shit, I'm talking my shit, I go in a lot more details, and of course, I mean, but anyway, check out my other channel. I've had tons of videos on there. And of course, it's all about spirituality. And as I mean, shit, like I don't see what else to talk about anyway. But anyway, so that's pretty much what we do here. And as a disclaimer, before I even get into the main conversation of what we're gonna be talking about tonight or today, you know what I'm saying, is to me, like I always say, wisdom is wisdom, regardless of where you come from or where it comes from. It doesn't matter. And I always say this, right? The truth is the truth, man. Even if it comes out, in fact, if it comes out of a mouth of a 5-year-old mouth, it doesn't make it any lesser truth. When it's the truth, it's the truth, man. So as a result, because of that, and this is pretty much the foundation and the core, that I have chosen for myself, and being a man of God or a man of wisdom, or a man of spirit, however you choose to look at it, we embody everything, especially if it makes sense, especially if it contributes to our well-being and if it helps us to elevate. So a lot of my quotes, and so it was a long way to say a lot of those quotes, this is going to be another one from Buddha, but a lot of those quotes, they actually come from many different sources. I've used the Bible, I've used Sufis, Kabbalion, Kabbalah, doesn't fucking matter. If it talks to me, then I respond. And my response is pretty much, seeing how I can, approach it, but most importantly, sharing it with you guys. So that was my one disclaimer. And let me see if I'm missing anything else. Nah, I think that should be it. Okay, bam. So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you light a lamp for someone else, it would also brighten your path. So now we're going to have to let that sink in for a minute because, and again, and this is the amazing, I mean, the shit that I love about these things, right? And here's something else too, and I forgot to mention that. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but when I'm also talking about the power of words, right? You get to, I know for me personally, and I know it does happen for other people too, but you get to witness how the words is pretty much acting out on you. And that is one of the main reasons I'm not even going to hold you why I fucking love this shit. Like, it was just a certain way it's being said, and it just touched me a certain way. I'm like, ooh, fuck me up. No Didi. Alright? But anyway, getting into, oh man, this is actually amazing. So now, I mean, and just so you guys know too, like, this is pretty much in essence, or in so many ways, this is the proper definition of, well, I wouldn't say the proper definition, but one of the main thing about to give is to receive. When you understand, like, if you light a lamp for someone else, it would also brighten your path. So that is one of the ways, I mean, because this is also talking about, what I'm saying, to give is to receive. In other words, the reward of what you're doing, isn't the thing that you're doing. But anyway, I think I might be stretching it a little bit, but that's the beauty of those statements because they're not limited to one thing, and they are also allow you to become receptive to more shit, to more other stuff. So that's another beauty of it too. But anyway, so if we were to analyze, let's get into it because let's unpack it, right? So what this is also saying, because in so many words, it's also bringing awareness to your action, right? Because if you light a lamp for someone, right? So therefore, this is something you're doing intentionally, but this is also showing you that accountability, your action. I mean, in so many words, what this is truly talking about, one of the main thing, I think the main message here is that you're gonna have to put up with your action. I mean, as much as it could either affect other people, either being detrimental or even being inspirational, whatever the fuck it is, outside of that, you're going to have to put up with your own words. In other words, this is truly talking about karma in so many words. I mean, in so many ways. But before we get there, you know what I'm saying? Let's just unpack so many different things, right? So I just wanted to make sure that, I'm not keeping your eyes off the prize, but there are so many prizes in here. You know what I'm saying? So don't be too limited or too shallow into, or too narrow or don't be boxed in. I mean, don't box yourself in, because there's a lot to unpack here. So the first thing for me, I was able to it helps you to become aware of your actions, right? Obviously, to make a world a better place, we have to be the difference. I mean, you got to become the different. I mean, the difference. You're gonna have to become different for you to make the difference that you're willing to make, right? So, what this is also saying in so many words, your actions have impact on other people, right? Because obviously, by you choosing to, light a lamp of somebody else, it allows them, I mean, although they didn't quite mention that though, because if you do that, because whoever that person is, now also their path are also being brightened too. So that's one of the benefit of your deeds, right? So you can either do good things to people or you could do bad things to people too. So keep that in mind. Although, this was not addressed here, but again, this is the beauty of those statements. And when you get to unpack this shit, then it's more than what it appears to be. So that would be the first thing, right? So now you could definitely say to yourself, okay, so you could do good, and of course, doing good will benefit other people, and you do bad, it would also be detrimental to people. But what this is also saying, or also revealing in that statement, because this is referring to having to light a lamp. So therefore, it's helping you to be aware of your action. And the same thing could be true. Like if you don't have the ability to light somebody else's lamp, well, guess what? They're gonna be in the darkness, and most likely, you may be in darkness yourself. And this is where too, man, it's like you can only give who you are. In other words, you can only be who the fuck you are too. And that's why I always tell people, and when you truly understand that part too, you really don't have nothing to do, man, but being you. And in so many words too, and that's why the Buddhists. I'm not sure if it's the Buddhists that actually talks about that, but they're saying the art of doing things without doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the whole idea. I don't know if you guys ever heard. I'm pretty sure you have. Like when you do something you love, you don't work a day. I mean, depending on how you're looking at it, right? Because when you do things that you love, you're gonna be working a lot. But what this is saying is it's not gonna feel like work. It would be more, like think about it. If you do the things that you love and you're getting paid for it, like how is that even working? In so many words, I think that's what this is saying. But it's not. It's not implying that you don't put the time in, or even the amount of time that you actually may put in, maybe even more than the regular, 8-hour shift. But what this is truly referring to, and I'm trying to help you to make the connection between like when you being you, it's the art of doing things without doing it. And you're gonna be who the fuck you are anyway, and that's why I always tell people too, man. Like your circumstances doesn't define you. I mean, you're not influenced by your circumstances. That's what I meant to say. But your circumstance will define who you are. Just like when you look at the hood, not every motherfucker came from the hood or fucking gangsters. You know what I'm saying? In fact, there's a bunch of people that and that's what when people are even talking about the hood, it's like it's not even a fair story. Because if you're looking at the amount of people that got money versus the amount of people that do not have money, right? So most regular people, and especially if you made a couple of wrong choices, that's enough to fuck your life up, especially in the States. You know what I'm saying? Child support and all that shit. Oh, yeah. That's enough for you, to set you back. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying all of that to say, right? What? Okay, because I was trying to make a connection. Okay, the connection I originally, again, is for you to be, okay, you know what, because I think I kind of missed the actual connection that I was trying to make. But going back to what I was talking about, maybe that would help me to make that connection. So, but it's for you to be aware of your actions, right? So you being aware of your actions and what your action can do to other people and will do to other people. And the funny thing about this particular statement is that they didn't even mention what was happening to someone else. Let's just say if I were to, well, I'm going to pause on that. If I were to light your lamp, let's pause and triple pause, you know what I'm saying? And all that pause. Pause. Right? If I were to light your lamp, right? So the very first person that would benefit from me, from that is you. And the whole idea of giving sights to the blind is that the blind itself now have the ability to see, right? So now that I light your lamp, again, for lack of better terms, you have the ability now to see better. But ultimately, this is also will brighten my path. So it's pretty much the whole idea of you want to make the world a better place. First, you're going to have to, make yourself better. And what that entails is by you making yourself better or understanding your actions and or even understanding the implication, that follows your actions. Because it's all part of it, right? Because how would that benefit you? Not necessarily, because a lot of us, we do hurt each other, due to ignorance too. And that's what you see when people, let's just say, are being too logical or they're not being emotionally intelligent. A lot of things that people do, especially if they're not open to their own emotions, they wouldn't give a fuck about your fucking emotions. Like it's not gonna work. So that's why it all starts with you. But most importantly, as it starts with you, now there are implications. Now, granted, whether you are conscious of it or not, it all starts with you. You know what I'm saying? It all starts with you. Like conscious of not or on. It doesn't really matter. Like, and that's why we all gotta put up with our own actions. In other words, we all gotta rip what we sow. Like, it's just the way it goes. But that's also showing you also, and this is how deep the shit is going too, that you are reflecting as it is within, so it is without. So again, and this is all coming out of that statement. It's all coming out of that statement. So again, there's so many shit to actually unpack out of that shit. It's just it's mind blowing to me. And obviously, I guess that's why we're here, and that's exactly what we're doing. So, and that's another and this is how powerful these things are, man. If I could give you any shortcut, that's probably the only one, because you wouldn't have. And I mean, when I say the only one, not in terms of this particular statement, I meant to say in terms of quotes or any, or quotes or old saying, wise saying, proverbs. I mean, those are probably the only shortcut, because they are packed of wisdom and they allow you to expand your consciousness without having to, you know, go through certain shit for you to actually get the wisdom out of it. So, damn, so I just need to choose one side of it to expand more on. So, we already talked about pretty much so far about being aware of your actions. That your actions will definitely have an impact on other people, good or bad. But you now understanding how good or how bad it is has to do with you and the people or the person now who's also receiving, or who's also on the other end of, who is on the receiving end of what you do, also would have to do the same thing. That's why I love that that Kanye, shit. I can't recall. He said, "Life is a bitch, depending how you dress her," and I love it because, and that's what I always tell people. A lot of us sometimes when we look at karma, we always say karma is a bitch. That's because we only look at karma from not a reward perspective, but as a just due. We always look at it, okay, you did all the fucked up shit. Well, nigga, you gonna get your just due. Now, I mean, respectfully, this is also part of it too. But that's one way of looking at it. And the thing about what Kanye said too, depending on how you dress her, and which I like, because what dressing is referring to is the appearance on how you look at somebody, right? Because what most people would call maybe a hoe, or maybe whatever the fuck it is, it would be based on your fucking appearance. And I'm glad the way he said it too, because this is it's all about your perspective. It all comes down to that. So when most of us are talking about karma, if that's where you are consciously, or that's where you are, if that's where your level is, okay, that's cool. Nobody's judging. But just so you know, there's other perspective to it too. Because to me, karma is also, it's another way of waking you up too. It's also another way, for you to become aware, because a lot of us, we have not awakened enough to kind of take accountability of our actions. It's almost like most of us are sleepwalking. And I've been there and I know exactly what that shit is. And that's why we're telling people to wake up. Do you see what I'm saying? Because, and karma, when karma kicks in now, you know what I'm saying? It's waking you up. So for me, where I'm at with it, it's not a bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bitch at all. You know what I'm saying? She helps you. But again, that's the beauty of different level of consciousness too, because when you really comes down to it, even life or humanity for that matter, it really comes down to how you're looking at it. Most people look at this world, they say look at kids that are suffering, people that are killing people, greed and all that shit. This is a fucked up world. That's one perspective of looking at it. But what's a little bit sad about this perspective is that you only see it from one perspective. And that's what I always tell people. Like, it's not like I'm not concerned with people who are killing people or some of the bullshit that people are doing. But do you also acknowledge that they are sleepwalking? Do you also realize, because not everybody's doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? And that was my thing when I saw the movie. What was it? Seven? I think it was Seven with uh, what's that guy name? Morgan Freeman and that white dude, man. Fuck. Ah, I mean, he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith with ah, what the fuck? His name is right here, nigga. Oh, whatever the fuck. So I mean, not necessarily a fucking issue, but I feel like the point that they were making, wasn't making the point. Because when they talk about Seven, pretty much there was a guy who went out killing people and shit. You know what I'm saying? But pretty much what was that saying? It was because of their sins, right? And there was a part where Morgan Freeman was saying, I mean, I don't understand why would you want to bring people into such a fucking world. Like, do you see what I'm saying? And the point that I felt like this movie was making, it's almost like it's assuming that just by having a flesh, just by being here, you're automatically bad, and that's not the case. In fact, the reason why Jesus came here, the reason why I'm here, is to let you know that is false. Absolutely false. Just because you have a body or you're living on earth doesn't automatically make this world bad. Or because you have to take a shit, you gotta pee. First of all, your pee in itself, there's such a thing as urination. I can't recall, was it a medicine where you could drink your own pee to fucking treat yourself? And on top of it, now if you're talking about you having the shit and doing all that shit, well, guess what they do with your shit? A lot of you, if you like those organic food, you know what I'm saying? Your poop are used just for that. So in so many words, depending on how you're looking at it, again, a lot of the things that we look at as even being bad regarding this world, it's not as bad as you think it is. And here's something else too. There was a part where they were talking about, what was it? Was it gluttony? Which is obesity. I mean, pretty much. I mean, well, not just obesity, but a motherfucker that just love food. Look at the world that we're living in now. I mean, do people actually naturally, just because you have a body, you fucking love food? No. A lot of people are becoming addicted to shit. I mean, to fucking food. So therefore, what the problem is, it's not what it appears to be. So even when you fat, even whatever the fuck it is, it's not just the food, man. When you strip everything out, then you're gonna see it's truly you. It could be a misunderstanding that you have about you. And for the most part, and that's what you'll see, people who trying to lose weight, I mean, you're gonna have to really, put yourself into this micro thing where you gotta truly look at yourself. Because it's truly you doing it to you. And ironically, yesterday, in fact, I was talking about how, a lot of us, we are in our own way, but we don't even understand that. Do you see what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what the movie Seven didn't really talk about. And that was a big fall for me. That was a big no-no. Like, it sounded good, you know what I'm saying? Because there is such a spirituality out there, that's trying to tell you, for you to become more spiritual, you had to annihilate the fucking material. And that is not true. Now, it's not actuality. I mean, in fact, that is a fucking illusion. Because, you know what I'm saying? Or some people would say, this is how fucked up this world is, because if you were born, you gotta die. As if dying is something bad. Well, I mean, if you got in somehow, you gotta go out somehow. And when you understand these things about this world, then being born and being dead is an exit. I mean, it's an entry and another motherfucking exit. So I'm saying all of that to say, it's more than what things appear to be. But anyway, going back to what was my original point? Like, shit, I guess I'm on some bullshit today. But anyway, I mean, I guess everything it's necessary then. Um, so now we're going back to karma because essentially this is what this statement is really talking about. Not just for you to be aware of your action, but just know you're gonna have to put up with your own actions, and we all have to, good or bad, conscious or unconscious, right? Because that's truly what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, and now if you get to put up with your own actions, and it gives you a higher perspective, how is karma even bad to begin with? And I think that was the connection of everything what I was saying. It's all about the different levels, your perspective on how you see things. And that weighs a lot. Your perspective is everything. And I think that was the original connection that I was making when I got into the whole Seven movie and trying to help you to see, what people are saying about this world and the whole aspect and, this whole, let's just say, belief system that is telling you somehow, for you to thrive, you have to annihilate or suppress your physical self. It's almost like, for you to attain God, it's like, that is not true at all. The truth is, you just got to know the truth about you, which is you are more than what you appear to be. And the minute you actually know that, and that's how you transcend this reality. When you understand, I'll give you a perfect example, right? So if I understand that I am the author of my actions, and there are consequences to everything that I do, and let's just say somehow tomorrow I wake up and I'm fat, but I have this type of understanding. So that would allow me to understand that what you're seeing, and that's why someone who's being fat too, it's more than just food. Food is just the side effect of it. And that's how and we all, I'm pretty sure you heard of binge eating, right? So again, it's more than what we think it is. So again, your perspective weighs a lot. So again, going back to karma, depending on your perspective or what part of the receiving end that you are, I guess it could be a bitch. But as you get to see things a little bit clearer, hopefully, I hope so, then you realize shit. If it's a bitch, well, that bitch opened up your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like I always tell people, and this is where you get to see the perfection in this world. It's like it's neither good or bad, but good and bad is part of it. And good or bad now comes down to your interpretation of it. And that's what the Kabbalion does to you. Help you to understand when they're telling you that anything that is good could be bad or anything that is bad could be good. We often talk about, you got to have both parents for you to be better, which is true. I wouldn't say which is true. I understand why you may say that. But if both of them are very limited, they could bring you hell too. And most of us, especially when you're talking about a certain cycle, when we talk about black people, that generational motherfucking bullshit that went from generation to generation, who do you think is fucking you up truly? I get it. It's it was indoctrinated. Got it. But who's carry on? Who's projecting that shit? Who became the agent for that indoctrination? It's you. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, that's why when it comes to when it comes down to consciousness, you can't really. There's no one way of doing one thing. You may have great parents that inspire you to become better, which is great. You can also have fucked up parents that also inspire you to be better too. You know what I'm saying? And that was my case. You know what I'm saying? It's what you make out of it. It is your perspective. And another, do you see what I'm saying? And that's why perspective is everything. It's not how much you see, it's not how much of anything that you see, but it's how you're looking at it. Because if you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, man, whatever you think you see or how much of it that you have seen, it's only fucking you up even worse. And that's what I think in so many words. If you see the movie Now That You See Me, and the guy was saying, the closer you look, the more you're not going to see anything, because the whole aspect, the whole thing is not how close you're looking at it, because it's your perspective. And your perspective makes the difference, because with having the proper perspective, you probably won't even have to look at it. And this is where it's important for you to know the truth. And that's how knowing the truth now will set you free. So again, these are practical shit that has to be applied and put into your own life. But anyway, now going back, I guess, going back to the whole conversation itself in terms of, not just karma, but also, I did mention how this is in so many ways one of the, one of the ways of looking at to give is to receive. Because what this is also saying, because the whole idea, like I always tell people, and even for me to have this channel and to call it that way, because I understand, and especially when you're acting from an internal perspective. And that's why, and again, I did mention, the act of doing without doing. Because what we really, if you're being you, you're doing, but not from a doing perspective. Because, it's almost like the action kind of like is stripped out of it, but it's more of you unfolding yourself. So it's more of a natural occurrence that's taking place. It's more of you unfolding yourself. You gotta let that marinate for a second. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the Buddhists, I don't know, I can't recall if it's the Buddhists that taught. Was it one of these motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? But again, this is also another reason why wisdom is wisdom regardless of where it comes from. Right? Because whoever said that, I don't know, I can't recall if it was the Chinese, if it was, this guy, Su or Lao, Loa. I can't recall his exact name, or Confucius, but it's got to be, or is it the bottom line? Again, it doesn't really matter. The truth. The truth is the fucking truth. Do you see what I'm saying? So even me not remembering, okay, the source of it, does that make it less true? Does it make me not knowing what I'm... In fact, I know it so much, fuck the sources. Because I'm living it. But anyway, going back to the whole essence of when you operate from your internal perspective, that's why the reward to give is actually to actually receive. But most importantly, too, it's like, there's an internal reward, which is the true self-fulfillment. This is me giving, that's why for me, even to have the ability to share this with you, first of all, I had to see it for myself. Finding my treasure, finding my beauty, and now just to share that with you, nigga. Shit. I'm sitting on gold. I don't know about you, motherfucker. Oh, I'm the golden child. In all fucking aspects. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is also, to give is to receive. You know what I'm saying? I don't give because of you, motherfucker. That's why your validation is not needed. It's not required. It's appreciated, but not required. I mean, I'm still gonna dance with or without you, because I'm a dancer. you know you know what I'm saying? So, and that's why, and when you dance too, and that's why I love the word dancing. The reward, it's in it. I mean, it's in it. If you know how to dance, if you do your dance, however you choose to look at it too, or from whatever perspective you choose to look at it. When you dancing, nigga, you dancing. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, rather the way I dance may inspire you to dance. You know what I'm saying? Even if the way I dance may, whatever the fuck it does to you, that's good. But just know, I'm having fun over here. The reward, it's in it. So the whole aspect of to give is to receive. Again, it's also showing you too the complexity of our being too. Showing you that you are more than your body. Because, and here's something else, and that's why, if you understand that you're more to your body, why do you say fuck humanity? Why would I even be concerned with fucking humanity at this point? Or the form, because now I know the truth. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And that was my thing with that movie Seven, because all the sins that they were talking about, they were not, let's just say, physically originated. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like even the people who are greedy, who are selfish, like it's you also train to become that way too. Like if you understand the current society that we're living in, like it's not a coincidence. I mean, I know a lot of us like to say how crazy this world is. Well, I mean, shit. Just look. I mean, we have crazy laws too. We are conditioned to be crazy. How the fuck do you expect you not to be crazy? And this is not to sustain your craziness, neither. But it is also something to consider. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's why, the complexity of us or whatever situation that we are in, you can't, you know what I'm saying? It's that's why when it comes to consciousness, you can't really put it in a fucking box. You can't put it in this and saying this is what consciousness is. You can't do it. And even when we're looking at times too, right? So when you're looking at, and I love to use this fucking example, the 80s and the 90s. Very close, very similar, but two different eras, totally different. Me being an 80s baby, at least that's what I was told. You know what I'm saying? Being in actually 81, I get to experience, a little bit of the 80s, because as you're growing up, it's almost like the 90s almost picked up towards the end, the mid of the 90s. But yet, I was still listening to, let's just say, music that was from the 80s, especially, 80, let's say 3, 4, 85. Me just about being like 4 or 5 years old. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's like, although they are very similar, but totally different. In other words, what may have been working in the 80s didn't quite work in the 90s. And if it did work in the 90s, not for too long. And as you can see, then you get into the 2000s, and then you do the math. You know what I'm saying? And that's when even people are talking about, how music used to be whatever. And that's why when it comes to being conscious, you have to be in the here and the now. I mean, it helps to definitely understand it. In fact, I understand the past so much, that's why I'm telling you this. I mean, I hope that makes sense to you. It's the past is to serve you for the now. Anything that you do is the now because your life is in the now. But anyway, I don't want to take this on that level. But again, this is what's being unpacked. I mean, there's so much shit that's being said from that statement. It's like it's karma in itself. I mean, it's again, it's how you look at it. So now the changes in our perspective, that's the key. Because you, as the beholder, this is the person you need to address. Because you can only see beauty as that beholder becomes beauty, he or herself. And this is truly the magic. You know what I'm saying? And this is the mystery too. This is the awakening. This is where the spark is taking place. This is where, the aha moment. And that's what Einstein was saying, where he was saying imagination is greater than fucking knowledge. That's what he was trying to tell you. Those aha moment, that's why meditation is very important. It's extremely important. But you got to understand, let's just say, because the thing about meditation is that it allows you, and this is what a lot of people don't truly understand either, too, man. Like, a lot of people think when they look at meditation, it's just you sitting down or a certain position that you have to sit in. I mean, I'm not downplaying any of it, but just understand why you're doing all of it. That's really what it comes down to. Some people lay down and meditate. You may choose to sit down in this lotus position, do all that. Again, I'm not taking anything away from that too. And there's a whole science too when it comes to mudra that I'm not going to address now, but it's worth talking about too. That's probably going to be my next video. I mean, not sure yet, but I just don't want to downplay it because it comes with what it comes with, right? So in my other channel, right, I always take the time and talk about spirituality, right? And what I always tell people is that spirituality it's your birthright. It's who you already that. Because you are a spirit when it really comes down to, understanding your essence. But yet, the monks, they dress a certain way. Do you see what I'm saying? So I just don't want that to be taken out of context to be like, okay, so because they dress this way, fuck them. Or, no. They know what they're doing. Okay, in fact, because they have activated their spirituality, it has its own place. Do you see what I'm saying? And different people react to their activation in different ways. For me, my spiritual activation, it's like I embody everything. I really don't give a fuck. But I truly give a fuck, if that makes any sense. Because I give a fuck, I don't give a fuck. Let me not try to confuse you. Let's go. I'm wilding. But anyway, again, man, I want some bullshit, I think. The kind of good shit, too, because, there's so much to talk about, too, man. And obviously, I fucking love this shit. But let's keep it within the conversation. Going back now to, karma, right? But not necessarily karma, but that perspective, right? Because that's truly what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? Because the way you look at things, that's what it activates it a certain way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I know for me, and I'll give you a perfect example, and if you ever been a kid too, I'm pretty sure, what I'm saying, your understanding of what life was while you were hanging out with other adult that was sharing the same space and time with you, their understanding of what that reality was and what your reality was at that time are two total different, like it's totally different. And again, this is also revealing your essence too, man. And this is also showing you, like that's why the Indian, in fact, I don't know if it's Hinduism, but anyway, they describe the world that we're living in as Maya. And what Maya means is it means illusion. Illusion, contrary to what a lot of people think, doesn't mean fake. When you talk about something being fake, you have to understand what you're saying. You're saying there is an original one, and then this copy is not the original one. For instance, if you want to talk about a fake Jordan or a fake Gucci, so there is an original one, and this is a copy. Illusion is not that. Illusion is what you see, what you're looking at. It appears to be the way it is, but that's not what it is. There is more to what it appears to be. When you look at, and that's why The Prestige, and I think Christopher Nolan did an excellent job. And to me, that's one of the blueprint. And I feel like even that movie is not only just The Prestige, is prestigious in itself. And unfortunately, man, this motherfucker, I feel like he got a lot more recognition for not to say that they're all bullshit, but I feel like, to me, that's one of his best fucking creations. And not to mention, yes, I do love Batman Begins and all that other shit that he has. I love Tenet and his most recent shit. You know what I'm saying? But the fucking Prestige right there, that was it. That's in that movie, pretty much there was a magician, and when you go see, like, let's just say a magic act, you see they cutting the people half open or in half. You see it, but it's not true though. I wouldn't say it's fake, but it's not what you think you see. So, to be honest, too, true or false have nothing to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's not what you think. There's something that actually took place here. Even, and I love the whole aspect of, if you remember, what was the guy named? Anger. I think his name was Anger, but that was for on purpose too. And I gotta do a breakdown of that movie, man, just to give it justice. Not that I think he fucking needs it. In fact, the justice in itself, makes me want to talk about it. But anyway, there was a part where they were showing he was doing this pigeon trick, but he was wearing a suit. There was a bunch of shit that was underneath the suit that nobody saw. Or even the trick that the guy was doing because he had a double. Again, it's not what it appears to be. And this is the world that we're living in. We are not what we appear to be. That's why, to get to know somebody, yes, it's good you know what they look like. You know their physical features, their faces, but there's a lot more to that. That's how we get to say, such and such is an angel. Such and such is a fucking asshole. Or he's evil. But for you to do that, that's because, that's why, in other words, this realm that we're living in, it's a book. And to read any book, you have to go inside of it. You cannot look at it. You cannot judge it by its fucking cover. Even if you wanted to. And that's how we know who people are. And that's why the best way for you to know anybody any fucking way is by tapping into their fucking energy. And that's where, if you know anything about the psychic realm, people who are becoming psychic, in fact, that's what we understand. And being in certain vibration, then you could see that person for truly who they are. In other words, having the true sight now, you no longer in material bondage in terms of you can't deceive me because I see you. I mean, you could do whatever the fuck you want. In fact, when people are deceiving you, it's because they don't want you. I mean, it's like it's what you see. They're looking to tweak it for you to see what they want you to see. Well, good luck with that. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, going back to the complexity of us, that's why, like I always tell people, man, we are the mysteries of all mystery. I know a lot of us are studying the planets. You have science who's doing all of that. But yet, when it comes to us, I mean, yes, you learn about our body and even our body in itself, the complexity in our body, how the way the smartness in it, and not to mention the impact that your soul also have on your body too. That's why as you change, you may also change your DNA too. These are all facts, things that could be proven. But the bottom line is, we are more than what we appear to be. So it really has to do with your perspective. I mean, I didn't want to. I mean, but again, that is the goal. What we do here is to elevate your. I mean, I'm glad. I kind of like wanted to stay within the statement itself, but yet again, the whole purpose is to get in and get a lot deeper. Meaning, it's go through it and because the whole I mean, this is how deep these things are. So only just by talking about karma and looking at it from different perspective in itself, and to have those different type of perspective, there's a level of consciousness that it requires. And this is where you might even talk about the awakening part of it. And as you start to awaken, and this is where you're going to have, just like as a child, you had to crawl, then, you know what I'm saying, then you started to learn how to walk. The same thing would also take place in your spiritual journey as you activate your spirituality. I mean, I shouldn't, as you become spiritual, or you have activated your spirit. Because even your senses will actually change, and you're becoming more, and that's how you become Christ-like. And just like I always tell people too, like, and I discuss a lot of that, attaining your highest level of consciousness is truly and simply means, you becoming Christ-like, Buddha-like, because the word Buddha simply means to wake up. So anybody who has been through their journey and ultimately and there's levels in that consciousness, it's almost like if you see those movies, right? In fact, I think the Prestige probably did it too, but a lot of movies do that, right? So it's almost like you look at beats and pieces of the movies, and then at the end of it all, everything is making sense, right? So then you see why that took place, and they're also showing you those things in those movies, how now you putting everything together, right? And that's the ultimate level of consciousness. But as you're going through those different paths, it's almost like you discover this, that allows you to discover that. But at the end of it all, or maybe these were taking place in front of you, but you didn't see it. Either or you mold it the way it makes sense to you. But ultimately, attaining your highest level of consciousness, it's you becoming Christ-like, and that's the point to become the Buddha, to finally wake up, or to become Krishna. It's the same idea. And if you know anything about, let's just say, Jesus' life, or Siddhartha, who became the Buddha, again, and I love that because, it's like there was an old name, and this is funny too, and that's why I also have a spiritual name too, calling myself Lespri, and it's all, listen, and as, oh man, anyway, anyway, anyway. Listen, it's just amazing, man. It's amazing. All right, so let's summarize this. It always, damn, already an hour, man, and I felt like I was getting fired up here to, what I'm saying. Well, without reaching out too much. But again, that's the complexity of even those statements too. And I strongly recommend, if you could, like, I know for me, I've had a few books, and this is how crazy I was too, just quotes. You know what I'm saying? Just quotes, because it's a bunch of wisdom that is packed into these things. But anyway, let's summarize what we, pretty much what we talked about here, right? If you light somebody else's lamp, it will also brighten your path. So what this is referring to, man, it's just a lot. Again, you see how it's kind of hard for me to just mention one thing, because yes, this is referring about karma. This is you putting up to your actions, but also, and that's why too, it's important for you to understand how things are being said, right? Because if you light a lamp, so this is also referring to, and not necessarily doing good to somebody, and that's the whole idea of, again, to give is to receive, and I think I think I mean, because not everything has to be explained. I think let's I think I'll just let the mystery speak for itself in that sense. To give is to receive, and here's something else too, and that's what may, give you that thing in terms of, it's always good to explain, to have a good explanation for everything, but, and that's the magic in those quotes too. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? It's almost like it's saying it without saying it and inviting you to catch everything else that is not being said, but it's also being said. And in that statement, it's listen, man, to give is to receive, baby. Also, watch what you cook, because you might get hooked. Do you see? Do you see what I'm saying? And another way of saying that too, man, we all rip what we sow. You're gonna have to put up with yourself, man, one way or another, motherfucking other. Love yourself, baby. I ain't but we're gonna leave it there. You know what I'm saying? Let it marinate. Enjoy it. Love. Mali.